Breaking news as we come on the air tonight. An explosion right here in New York City, 24 hours before America's largest 4th of July celebration kicks off. Police say an explosive device that appears to be homemade rocked parts of Central Park today. An unassuming tourist losing part of his leg after accidentally stepping on that device. Authorities quick to say it was not an act of terror, but that blast sent fears soaring. And it is not just here in New York. Heightened security across the country. In the nation's capital, police scanning visitors, searching bags ahead of the festivities there. And in Chicago, an extra 5,000 officers on duty guarding against possible terrorism and gun violence. The investigation into what happened here in New York today still underway, and ABC's Marcy Gonzalez leads us off with the latest.
Tonight, the serious scare in America's largest city.
I have no idea what it was. It sounded like a cannon.
An explosion in Central Park. At 10:52 this morning, an 18-year-old Virginia tourist jumping off a rock and landing on an explosive device, partially severing his foot. Two of his friends speaking right after the blast.
I don't know. We don't know what happened. There was a small explosion and then dust.
Beyond the caliber of fireworks, just based on what we heard.
The blast prompting a major police response. The bomb squad and Homeland Security here on the scene. This part of Central Park shut down as officers look for other possible explosives.
The explosion that could have been an experiment with fireworks or homemade explosives. We do not have any evidence of a constructed device or commercial-grade fireworks. We believe this could have been put here as some sort of experiment.
Tonight, police saying the tourists are not suspected of being involved with constructing the device.
At this time, we have no evidence that this is related to terrorism. There are no specific credible threats.
The security scare highlights the heightened alert people and police are on this holiday weekend. Officers across the country on patrol to prevent a potential attack.
They're looking for components for a dirty bomb.
From the water to the air, 525 specially trained NYPD counterterrorism officers using radiation detectors, monitoring license plates, video feeds, and people.
Be cognizant of perps possibly wearing explosives.
And after the deadly terror attack in Istanbul, 7 major airports in the U.S. increasing security. Uniformed and undercover officers also closely watching train stations and bus terminals. This weekend in Chicago, thousands of extra police on duty. And in Washington, D.C., officers will be checking bags ahead of tomorrow night's fireworks show.
As Americans prepare to celebrate Independence Day, new terror attacks, this time in Iraq, have killed at least 120 people. 2 bombs went off Sunday in the capital city of Baghdad, just as people were breaking their religious fasts. The bombings followed an assault on a cafe in Bangladesh on Friday, in which 3 U.S. college students were among the dead, and an attack at the airport in Istanbul, Turkey last Tuesday. As Jonathan Vigliotti reports, the terror group ISIS appears to have a hand in all this.
The first explosion rocked Baghdad's central business district, engulfing an entire shopping mall in flames. Against an orange sky, dazed shoppers and first responders sifted through twisted and charred wreckage for any survivors. The attack happened shortly after midnight Sunday morning as families were eating dinner after fasting during the day for the holy month of Ramadan. Baghdad police blamed the carnage on a massive bomb in the back of a pickup truck. People couldn't recognize their families who were engulfed in the fire, said this man who managed to escape. Police said many of the victims were children. The Islamic State was quick to claim responsibility. It is the 3rd attack in 3 countries linked to the group in less than a week.
Now, facing a diminishing living space in the Middle East, the Islamic State group has turned its eyes to South Asian and Southeast Asian nations. According to Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Southeast Asia has become a key recruitment center for and target the group. The Islamic State claimed it would establish a division in Southeast Asia. Earlier this year, footage uploaded online showed jihadist training and different armed groups from the Philippines South coming together to pledge allegiance to the group. Bangladesh, a key country linking South and Southeast Asia, is also under threat. Earlier this January, Singapore repatriated 26 radicalized Bangladeshi laborers who were planning to take part in extremist activities.
North Korea is marking a new official observance of the founding of its strategic rocket force. The South Korean military is on high alert for possible provocations linked to the occasion. Kim Hyun-bin has more on the regime's latest means of stoking tension.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff on Sunday said that Pyongyang could stage some sort of provocations to mark the designated founding day of a strategic rocket force, which also comes a day before U.S. Independence Day on the 4th of July. During the Supreme People's Assembly last month, Pyongyang designated July 3rd as Strategic Rocket Force Day. Marking its first observance on Sunday, Pyongyang threatened to turn the U.S. into a sea of fire if Washington threatens its independence. The JCS say there are currently no signs of imminent provocations, but are maintaining a high state of readiness. The regime has a history of launching provocations during the U.S. Independence Day holiday. On July 4, 2006, North Korea launched the Taepodong-2 long-range missile, and in 2009, it fired 2 intermediate-range Nodong missiles. South Korean military says North Korea could conduct another Mustan, Nodong, or Scud missile launch this time, in a sign of the regime's defiance of Washington and the international community. Seoul says there's also a possibility North Korea could conduct provocations along the northern limit line, as they have detected military movements in the region. Recently, Pyongyang deployed dozens of troops on previously deserted islands, as well as several multiple rocket launchers and surveillance equipment.
Now, in other news, China will hold naval drills this week around the disputed Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. According to Beijing's Maritime Safety Administration, the drills will be held from July 5th through the 11th. All other ships will be banned from entering the area during that time as well. While the Paracels are also claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan, China says it's within Beijing's rights to hold the drills, as the island have been Chinese territory since ancient times. Tension is on the rise ahead of a court ruling on July 12th in The Hague concerning waters disputed by China and the Philippines.
The world's biggest radio telescope is under construction in Guizhou province in China. When completed in September, it should be able to detect radio signals from more than 1,000 light years away, aiding the search for intelligent life in outer space.
Experts say this gigantic radio telescope will fast forward China's astronomical level by at least 10 years. Once completed, it will be the world's biggest single-aperture spherical radio telescope and the most sensitive radio telescope in human history. In just a few months, it will require radio silence within 5 kilometers. All residents have to move away and no cell phone signals are allowed. The project began in 2011. It cost nearly 1.2 billion yuan, of about $185 million.
This gigantic radio telescope, the world's largest, could view the universe by collecting radio frequency radiation and will be capable of detecting very weak signals from space. And it could also make a contribution to the areas of the large-scale physics of the universe and to the search for intelligent extraterrestrial life.
Wildfires are raging in several western states. In California, there are at least a dozen large fires, including one that destroyed several homes this weekend. Here's Maria Villarreal.
In a matter of minutes, flames raced up the side of this hill in San Bernardino, destroying at least 4 homes. Gustavo Nava and his girlfriend managed to escape before their home went up.
She runs out to the window to see what the dog's barking at. And sure enough, there's flames rattling the window.
Nearly 10 acres of drought-stricken land were scorched before firefighters were able to get the fire under control. Taylor Owen's home was in his family for 3 generations.
Yeah, it sucks. We're upset, obviously. I'm not going to be able to get back a lot of the memories and stuff like that.
Farther north in Kern County, the Deer Fire has burned 1,700 acres and is now threatening 300 homes. Officials are worried the fire will intensify as it approaches an area filled with dead and dying trees. This is the same county that lost 150 homes in a devastating wildfire nearly 2 weeks ago. As 4,800 firefighters continue to battle 12 major wildfires across California, safety officials are warning about the dangers of illegal fireworks. More than 300,000 pounds of illegal fireworks have been confiscated in Los Angeles County alone. LA City Fire Chief Ralph Terraza says fireworks could add more fuel to these fires.
With us being in the 5th year of a drought, we are extremely concerned about the potential for brush fires or other types of fires caused by fireworks. So we urge you to please attend a professional fireworks show.
More fires are reported on the 4th of July than any other day out of the year, and nearly half of those fires are caused by fireworks.
Only on 7 tonight, a horrific discovery in this creek. Dozens and dozens of dead birds found along the banks. We do want to warn you, you may find some of these pictures disturbing. 7 Action News reporter Aaron Baskerville is live in Woodhaven, where neighbors want some answers.
Heather, neighbors have no idea what's going on. They're trying to get to the bottom of this. Right now, we're along Marsh Creek in Woodhaven on Arlington Drive. And take a look down here. You can see the footprints in the mud. That's where the DNR was out here earlier today collecting dozens and dozens of dead birds with large garbage bags. For now, neighbors out here do not want their kids or pets near the water.
They're all the way to the bridge. From here were ducks. Dead ducks.
There's a mystery brewing along the Marsh Creek on Arlington Drive in Woodhaven. A neighbor showing Action News a dead bird he collected the other day.
They're nesting here.
Hassan Lakas walking us back to what he considers a graveyard. Dead ducks and ducklings.
Last time she left, and I think she got sick.
In his front yard, he found a nest abandoned along with eggs.
It was about 30 ducks over here on this side.
Cell phone video shows a duck struggling to survive. Neighbors snapped a photo of the DNR investigating earlier today, collecting more than a dozen dead birds in large garbage bags. Nancy Chinevere has lived along the creek for 11 years, some of her neighbors 2 decades longer, and no one remembers seeing birds dying in such large numbers.
It's just nature, and it's beautiful. And when something like this happens, it's traumatic. It's very upsetting. Floating ducks, dying ducks, ducks on the shore, ducks everywhere. They were dead.
There's lots of theories on what's happening out here. Some people say it could be the water, bad feed, or even possibly botulism. The DNR says it could take about 2 weeks before it finishes its investigation.
Back here at home, rattled by a series of earthquakes today, people in Snohomish County say they were completely caught off guard when they struck. Cairo 7's Rob Munoz talked to homeowners who say they're now making sure they have prep kits ready.
I mean, the crack was already there, but it actually moved. That wasn't like that much space.
Karen Sundin says her Granite Falls home is now about an inch away from where it used to be.
I was sitting in that chair right there, and all of a sudden the table shook, and then I felt my chair shake. So it was enough to feel it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds.
At 11:30 this morning, she felt the first in a series of at least 3 to 4 quakes around a 3.0 that shook the area near Lake Stevens and Granite Falls. Well, no serious damage was done, but viewers did send us some broken items. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network says while this doesn't raise huge concerns, the swarm is not far from another swarm that struck Gold Bar in the past few weeks. They said their warning system actually malfunctioned, and this allowed them to work some bugs out in their system.
I came outside and looked to see if someone drove through my house, because as I told you, that's happened before, and it feels...
Just 6 miles away in Lake Stevens, Sandra Barnes thought she was reliving the day when someone actually did hit her home. She felt a large jolt and then the next quakes.
Got my kit prepared and just hope it doesn't damage the car when it comes, because that's where everything is.
It's not if, it's when there will be a big earthquake. We all need to be prepared.
No one knows when the next quake will hit, but a lot of people are now thinking, how can they be prepared?
Now more than 60 people have been killed during heavy monsoon rains and landslides in northern India and Pakistan. At least 18 people have been killed in India, and officials now fear the death toll could rise as there are people still missing in the Uttarakhand state. Rescue operations are underway, but heavy downpours are hampering them. Floods and landslides have stranded residents as roads have been blocked. The authorities have urged people in low-lying areas to evacuate their homes as rivers there are reaching danger levels. Also in Pakistan, 43 people have died in northern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Most of the victims lost their lives when floods washed away a remote village.
So